everybody, I'm back again. Now this is the soup portion of the demo. So I have my bones going over here. It's going to take 4 to 6 hours for those to cook, so I'm just going to let them go. But I did have some stock left over from Thanksgiving that I made, and so I got that thawing there, getting ready to make soup out of. So I'm going to show you how to get started with the soup. Okay, so first I have my pan on about a medium heat. I'm adding some oil to that. This is olive oil. And then, as you saw me cut up earlier, the celery and carrots, I also have onions over here that I had from school, like I had told you. So I'm going to saute these up. Because they were frozen, there's lots of juice in there. Never mind my dog. She barks at everything. Okay, so I'm going to turn that up pretty high because I just added a bunch of liquid in there, which brought the temperature of it way down. And I need to cook away some of that water that's in there. What are you doing? Okay. I'm going to pour off some of this water first. Get this going. Get nice and hot. Now the mise en place I have set here is I've got garlic, I've got basil, I've got oregano, I've got thyme, I've got salt and pepper, and then I also have chicken base. Now when you make stock, it's not a hugely flavorful thing. So it's kind of bland, but it's got some chicken flavor to it. But to make it a nice robust chicken flavor, we're going to add some chicken base to it, which is just like chicken bouillon cubes. For every teaspoon of base, you would use a bouillon cube. And the general rule is for every cup of water, you use a teaspoon of bouillon cube or a bouillon cube or a teaspoon of the chicken base. So this is going to help make it more flavorful, like chicken broth. So I'm going to set that off to the side because I won't need that until later. So my onions are starting to heat up here quite a bit. Just got to get that cooked down. Normally I wouldn't put this on high heat, but there's still a lot of water in there. And I want that water to cook away so we can get a nice saute going instead of a simmer. And then I'm going to add, and I also have my minced garlic. And then I'm going to add the garlic in next. And then the seasonings, and then I've got my chicken here. But I'm not going to do the chicken yet because I'm going to add my celery and my carrots first, and then I'll add the chicken in there. Okay? Or I might actually do the chicken after because I don't think I have enough room for all the vegetables and the chicken. So that'll probably have to be done separately, which is fine. Now if you don't have all these herbs, just use what you got. If you happen to have Italian seasoning, use that. That's okay. Just that Italian seasoning also has, besides the basil, the oregano, and the thyme, Italian seasoning also has marjoram and rosemary flavoring in there too. Some people like that, some people don't. And when I use it, you're going to see it's just a very little bit of thyme. That's about a half a teaspoon in there. But I do use a lot of oregano and basil. There's about a tablespoon of each in there. And then I like a lot of garlic, so there's probably 2 tablespoons of garlic in there. And then you just salt and pepper to taste. Still got a lot of water in here. I'm going to give this stock back here a little stir. Get that melting a little bit faster. Now if I don't have enough broth, I can actually make my own using this base. I can add enough water and base together to bring up the amount of stock I need if I'm in a pinch. So at home, you might have chicken bouillon cubes, which you can make broth out of. That's okay. It's not the greatest. It's probably the least desirable of all. But if you have chicken broth at home, certainly use that. If you don't have the ability to make the stock, that's okay. Just buy the broth. Hopefully you'll be able to do this. I know not everybody will be able to because of the circumstances, and that's okay. If you can't get to the lab, that's okay. At least you've learned something about stocks and soups and maybe sauces later. So I'm just focusing on the stocks and soups at this point. Sauces, I think, should probably be a whole nother chapter because sauces are just huge and there's so much information. If you ever went to culinary school, you would see that you would have to take a whole class, which would be like a whole semester on stock, sauces, and soups. And so obviously you'd have a lot more time to study those. We, however, try to get through one chapter which has all three of them in a week or two, which is crazy because there's not nearly enough time to cover all of that information. So you're just getting the surface of it all. Okay? The water's starting to go away a little bit. I'd like to see it go away a lot more because I want to get a nice saute. I'm listening to the sound that I'm hearing as it sautés. It's really kind of calm yet. It's not really a high sizzle. That's how I know there's quite a bit of water left yet. But I'll hear more of a high, faster sound of sizzle as the heat comes up and the water evaporates through the cooking process. Obviously don't have as big a stove here as I do at school. So it makes this challenging to say the least. So, try and bring that pot over that flame a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic. We're getting there. I really like to cook the garlic, and the onions need to have oil with them to bring out their flavors. But I want to cook this quite a bit before I start adding my other part of my mirepoix, the celery and the carrots. I am going to have to add more water to that for the soup. Probably about a gallon more, and then I can add, so if I'm going to put a gallon of water with the base to make my broth, I'm going to use, there's 16 cups in a gallon, so I use 16 teaspoons of base, which if you do your math, 1 full cup has 48 teaspoons, so 16 over 48, and you do that math, is 1/3. So 1/3 of a cup of base for a gallon of water is what it comes out to. Here's your math lesson for the day. Give this a little shake so it's more evenly distributed in there. So here's my gallon of water, and I'm going to put 1/3 of a cup of my base in there. Okay, and then it goes, kind of falls to the bottom, so I'm going to give it a little swirl. There we go. And it'll cook right up. I still have a little base on my spoon, so I'm going to try and get that off of my spoon. Okay, so it's looking a little dry in there, so I know a lot of evaporation has gone. I can hear the sizzle come up a little bit higher. So I'm going to go ahead and add my celery, and my carrots. Stir all that together. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my herbs in there. A little bit of salt, not much. A little bit of pepper. I like lots of pepper. And salt and pepper are flavor enhancers to food, so you got to be careful. To enhance the flavor, you need just the right amount of salt. Too much salt just makes it taste salty, and it just kind of ruins everything. So, I'm going to saute this up a bit, and then I'm going to add it right into my stock there, or my broth. And then I'm going to brown the chicken. Which will take quite a bit longer. Just a little swirl. Get the heat moving around in there. Now what I'm doing is I'm doing a saute. That's a cooking method, but I'm just going to sweat the vegetables just to bring out some of that moisture, and then I'm going to put them in there. I don't want them to get brown. I just want to sweat them so that as they cook, they're releasing their moisture. That's called sweating. And that helps to enhance the flavor. A little longer, they don't look sweaty enough. And this I'm just going to let set. I'm not going to stir it, nothing. That stock just sets there and simmers for a long time. So later on tonight, I'll add the vegetables to it and I'll let it simmer some more for about another hour. And then I'll strain it and cool the stock down. And I've got chicken stock for another use. I use lots of chicken stock in my kitchen, chicken broth in my kitchen. We make lots of soups here. So the other day I just made a ham and potato soup, and it was really good. I used the leftover ham from Easter, and I had a bone, a ham bone that I had from Thanksgiving that I had in the freezer, and so I just put that bone in some water. I'm sorry, not water, but chicken broth. And then I let that simmer for a couple of hours to release the meat that was stuck on that bone. And then I cut up some potatoes, celery, carrots, onions. I sauteed the onions, celery, and carrot, the mirepoix, and I put it into that broth. And then I chopped up the ham and I put it into that broth. And I let that cook for a little bit. And then I added some cream to it. Actually, I added some sour cream to it to make it a creamy potato and ham soup, and my kids loved it. They absolutely loved it. It was really good. Okay, so these are sweated pretty good. So now I'm going to add these. Turn my fire off over myself. I'm going to add these right on into that stock, that broth. Heat that back up. And chicken into here. Okay, so fry up this chicken. I diced the chicken. That's a lot of chicken, but like I said, I like my soups nice and hearty. But I diced a whole package of chicken breast for this. This is going to take a while. So. Okay, so cook up this chicken. And then later I'm going to show you how to make noodles to go in this. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. And I'm going to finish browning this meat. And then I'm going to add it to the soup. And then later I'll show you how to make the noodles and we'll add it to the soup. And voila, it will be done and ready to eat. So hang in there. We'll get this done.